2 roses, 1 thorn. Jared Smith, Mark Zeno, guys, how are we feeling today? Jared, how do you feel after last night? We had 2 Monday Night Football games.
Who's the thorn?
I was going to say that was my only
I'm the thorn.
I felt like the thorn last night. I didn't win a bet yesterday. I apologize, Pickswise Nation. We gave out a ton of props on the show. The Justin Fields rushing prop was really tough because I feel like we should have had that one. There was like a stat correction, I think, that took away the Justin Fields rushing prop. And in the over, didn't stand a chance because of the Bears offense. But so not our best day of gambling, but today's a better day.
How did your night go last night, Mark? Like, who are you on?
It was stress-free. I mean, I'm just not going to lay more than 2.5 with Kirk Cousins in primetime. I hate laying points with Kirk Cousins in general. Yeah. So the fact that it was a touchdown, me wanted no part of it. I had contemplating putting a tease in and getting it down to -1, but still, I mean, it's not against the Vikings and Kirk Cousins to drop a game in that spot, much similar they did to the Lions a week or two ago. So, yeah, it was a complete stay away from me. I kept my money in my pocket. It was stress-free. I made gingerbread houses for the kids.
Nice.
Hey, getting in the Christmas spirit. I love it. I honestly can say I've never made a gingerbread house in my entire life.
Have you ever eaten a gingerbread house?
I don't. Once you make them, don't you just look at them? Like,
no, you eat them, right?
Just look at it, but I'll say this much. It takes a lot more dexterity than you'd ever imagine to put together a gingerbread house when there's icing all over every fingertip you have and everything gets white. It's just, it gets frustrating.
See, in the Jewish faith, we eat all the food that we make. Like, we don't make food to look at it. We make food to eat it. So I guess
exactly.
Well, I know. So I've never made a gingerbread house. I've never eaten a gingerbread house. I have eaten gingerbread cookies. We'll say they're good, but peanut butter blossoms still go undefeated.
Peanut butter blossoms. That's I've never even heard of those before.
I was going to say, what the hell is a blossom?
What's a peanut butter blossom?
On the top. Yes.
Oh, it's a sugar cookie with a Hershey Kiss on the top?
Yeah, the peanut butter cookies with the sugar with the Hershey's Kiss.
I think I've seen those before, but I've never heard them called peanut butter blossom. A cookie with a Hershey Kiss.
I mean, let's not complicate.
They have a name. They have a name, you guys.
Okay,
we learn things on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? Now you know. You learn something new every day. You learn something new every day. Peanut butter blossoms or the peanut butter cookie with a Hershey's Kiss on top. So off of that point, we're getting into sports. So what we're talking about today, we got college football picks. There's a couple bowl games going on today. One of them, the Potato Bowl, one of my favorites of the year. We have Tuesday night football bets. Who knew? Tuesday night football. 2 games for Tuesday night. The only game we don't have NFL this week is going to be a Wednesday tomorrow. So you know what? We'll have to get our fix in tonight. College basketball predictions. We go to the NCAA basketball floor, talk a little bit about a few games going on tonight. And then we can't end without our best bets and Pickswise 3-star play of the day. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. Let's bet it. College football bowl picks. I've been loving bowl season. It's the absolute best. There's games at like noon on a Monday. You know, like what could be better than that? You're drinking your eggnog, your milk. I'm actually
eggnog. Yeah, I can't believe you said that after yesterday.
I hate eggnog. We got into this, Mark, the other day, so you know it's okay. But let's get into the Potato Bowl because I love a good French fry every now and again. Penn State taking on Wyoming. Mark, what side are you on in this one?
I'm actually on the over in this game. I mean, when you look at the two teams that are playing in this, Wyoming plays fast and tries to go up pace. Kent State gives up 35 points per game and almost 280 yards through the air per game. For me, I know it's like rough conditions up there in Boise and the wind may be swirling and everything else. It's not exactly a passing environment, but I'll trust the fact that these two teams will trade blows back and forth for 4 quarters. Anytime you get a team giving up over 35 against a team that could score at least 25, I mean, I'm going to play the over. Both these teams can get to 30.
Yeah. Jared, who do you have?
So I did. The weather is huge. Mark's right. I did look this morning.
It's not quite the Bahama breeze that we were talking about. The Bahamas Bowl.
Well, you guys were so, everyone was so worried that the Bahamas were going to be the windy game. I wasn't buying that for a second. I'm not seeing a whole lot of weather issues today in Boise. Actually, relatively calm, 35 degrees, relatively warm, I would say, for Boise in late December. And not a whole lot of wind. So that's really good for Kent State's offense, who does like to play really fast. When I was trying to find a motivation edge here, I was looking at Kent State. They lost in the MAC title game. The winner of the MAC title, Northern Illinois, got to go to sunny Florida to play in, I think it was the Cure Bowl. And you get now Kent State that gets shipped off to Boise, Idaho. It's basically a home game for Wyoming compared to how far Kent State has to travel. But I'll be honest, Wyoming had, a decent season. I don't think they're going to be relatively up for this game compared to Kent State. So I don't really see a huge motivation edge here on either side. I think both teams will be up for the game, but I don't see any angle here there. I really like Wyoming's defense. They were really good in third down conversion this year. Kent State wasn't great defensively, getting third down or stopping in third downs. And that's always an angle I like to look at in bowl games too, because third down usually leads to fourth down, and the fourth downs teams get a little more aggressive.
Third down leads to fourth down?
What happens?
When you always follows third.
Third down, usually third down first, fourth down second. But if teams are good at converting third downs, I feel like that gives them a little bit of an edge because it makes the fourth downs either shorter or non-existent. And I like Wyoming's offense against Kent State's defense here. I like Mark's over pick. I haven't bet this yet. If I were to bet it, I probably would lean over and Wyoming. I haven't gotten into the window yet, but if I do, I will be sure to tell all of Pickswise Nation once I do.
Yeah, I actually am on Wyoming laying the points in this one, 3.5. Kent State, you look at them, their own 3 against Power 5 opponents this year, all on the road. You talked a little bit, Mark, about Kent State and their defense, giving up 466.5 yards per game, 122nd in total defense of the 130 NCAA teams. I mean, that's towards the bottom last time I checked. Wyoming is 36. So I look at the Golden Flashes. They have the quarterback. They have the offense. The Cowboys, they play defense, and they run the ball. Offensively, they average 23.2 points per game, but they did prove capable of being able to put more points than that on the board. I think they scored like 30 or more points in 4 of 6 wins. And I think they scored 40 points in like 3 games this year. So I look at what Wyoming's been able to do this season. They played well against the MAC. I'm going with their defense in this game and thinking they're going to be able to get it done. I've taken them laying the points 3.5, but I might tail your over because like the more I'm thinking about it, I think you're right. I think you guys are both right on that one. So I'm going to tail you on the over. I'll bet that one.
Transitive property. I don't love transitive property, but if you do want to use it here, Wyoming played Northern Illinois earlier this season and they dropped 50 on them. And Northern Illinois just beat Kent State in the MAC. Now, granted, that game between Wyoming and Northern Illinois was like back in September. So again, it's hard to draw those comparisons, but Kent State does not like to play defense. They're an offensive team. And these games, if there's not one team that really likes to buckle down defensively, these games can kind of get a little bit out of hand sometimes. So I think 59 is a pretty low number for a total in a game where the weather isn't going to be a factor and you have one high-powered offense against another offense facing a bad defense. So I could definitely see 60 or more in this game for sure.
Yeah. I like it. I'm betting it. I'm betting it right when we're done with the show. All right, let's take you to the Frisky Frisco Bowl. UTSA taking on San Diego State. UTSA, the underdog in this one. Mark, who you on?
I'm on San Diego State. Both these teams have been in and around the top 25 for a better part of the year, so we know that they're talented. But what separates the game for me is San Diego State playing in a higher conference with a little more meat on the bone, literally and physically, or figuratively rather. They're just a bigger, more physical team than the Roadrunners, and that's what sells me on it. Plus their run defense, giving up just 77 yards a game on the ground, less than 3 yards per carry. That to me is enough to control the flow of a game. I know this line is flipped a little bit. I like San Diego State much better as a dog, but I'm going to back them here as a favorite, and anything under 3 because of that physicality and the way that they can control the game and grind down a team like UTSA. Whenever you get a matchup of finesse versus physicality in football, I'll always lean towards the physicality because you can smack finesse teams in the mouth and they don't know how to respond. Brady Hoke has a ton of motivation here, the head coach for San Diego State, as a guy who's trying to make his ascent back from the Lauren, do you want to talk about what happened to Brady Hoke?
Okay.
I just
don't worry, save it for me. I'll
let you do it. But I mean, look, this is one of these feather in the cap things where he takes a team like San Diego State, gets them to a 12-win season, wins them a bowl game, and somebody comes calling for a job within the next year. So this is an important game from a motivation standpoint. I know that the Roadrunners are only playing in a third ever bowl game, so they certainly want to win one. But I'm going to back the Aztecs here.
Yeah, I think motivationally speaking, I would give the edge to UTSA. This is kind of a home game for them in Frisco. It's about 3-4 hours from San Antonio. You know, San Diego State obviously has a much further distance to travel. I would expect a ton of Texas, born and bred Texas, in this game. And I think it's a big recruiting game for UTSA. They had a great season. They were undefeated for most of the year. Lost the game and then played their butts off.
Perfection came up short.
Just came up short. Really tough loss earlier in the year. But then they bounced back really strong in that Conference USA title game. And we just saw how good Bailey Zappi was for Western Kentucky. That's the team they beat in that game. The one thing that is important here, from reports, we don't have anything confirmed yet, but reports from a UTSA insider said they could be without 10 players in this game. And the quote that this reporter used was decimated at some position groups. That's why the line flipped from +3 San Diego State to now -3. I don't know how motivated the Aztecs will be. I know Brady Hoke is a good coach. Maybe good coaches maybe putting it a little too nicely. He's had issues in the past. He hasn't done well in bowl games. He got spanked on multiple occasions in multiple bowl games during his tenure at Michigan. The last bowl game he coached in was that B-Dubs Bowl back in 2013 when Kansas State
performance was mild and boneless in the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl. Thank you for that.
It certainly was. It certainly was.
I'll take a bow.
So I think UTSA, to me, is the more motivated team. They're trying to win their program's first ever bowl game. I'll take the points. It's a low total game. I'll take the 3. I'll sprinkle the money line, and I'll give you a prop, too. I only saw this prop on FanDuel, but it is a tremendous prop. So Sincere McCormick, who's the all-star running back going to the draft next year for UTSA, he opted out. So that's going to put the backfield for UTSA in a little bit of a bind. But their quarterback, Frank Harris, great thrower, great runner too. His rushing touchdown prop is +136. And the amount of times that he touches the ball in the red zone and he calls his own number is substantial. So I'll play the rushing yards prop as well. So I'm actually kind of pretty heavily exposed to UTSA today. I think it's probably my favorite play of the day. Yeah,
I'm taking UTSA money line as well. It moved even from last night from +118 to today. It's +125 right now for them on the money line right now. And you talked about Sincere McCormick. Like, that's going to suck for them because he kind of anchored their team on the offense side this season. He's had I think he ran for 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns. So it's going to be tough. For them, without him on the offensive side of the ball, they're going to try to win a bowl game for the first time in program history without a guy like that. But I like what UTSA has been able to do this season. Again, they came up just short of having a perfect season. They played really well in their conference championship game. They won the conference championship, but I think they're going to still have a little bit of a bitter taste in their mouth from not going undefeated on the season because they were literally this close. Like you talked about, Mark, what was the word you used? Finesse versus
physicality.
Yeah, I think UTSA has mostly. I just like UTSA in this spot. I just feel good about it. I feel good about it, even though the lines flipped a little bit with players being out. I just feel good. Getting
a lot of questions in the chat right now about Italian. Sorry, go ahead, Lauren. I apologize.
I was just going to the shot to win their first bowl game in program history. I don't expect the Roadrunners to falter. I expect them to run all over that road. That's a horrible joke.
That's why you had to get that in. You had to get that in.
Jared, I'll call a false start on you. It fell a little bit flat when she lost the momentum of where she was going. So I got to give her a false start penalty for.
I thought she was stopping. I thought she was done. That's why I wanted to get to a chat question. And then she went right into that corny joke. But you know what, Lauren? I've made way worse. So Lauren, you got the turtleneck today. You can cover your head.
There you go. Lauren went all Wile E. Coyote on the Roadrunner. There you go.
I literally, every time I think of Roadrunner,
it's like an Acme anvil is going to fall on her
head.
An
Acme rocket that went kaput. There you go.
Yeah. The steadier team is poised to come out on top, you guys. And I think the steadier team is the Roadrunners. So
the Roadrunners, and hopefully they don't take an exit off the highway.
We've all seen the cartoon. I can never say the word
Coyote.
That's a tough word to say. I will say the coyote never because it's spelled like coyote. The coyote never catches the Roadrunner. They never do.
Yeah. Too bad they're playing the Aztecs though. I think the Aztec can catch the Roadrunner.
The Aztecs has the spear and they can throw
It's not an Acme spear, so I think we're good.
One of these seasons, I'm going to pick the bowl games based off of which mascot could kill the other mascot, and then we'll see how we do. We'll see how we do compared to all of the sharp.
We've been looking at all the stats.
Probably. All right, there are questions in the chat about Serie A soccer today. Juventus at Atalanta. Listen, guys, I promise you, anytime that I have footy picks, I will reveal them. I do not have any footy picks. I don't usually bet Serie A. It's not a league that I like to bet on a whole lot. The EPL, unfortunately, is on a COVID/holiday break until until I don't know when, probably next week. Hopefully next week it restarts. They were supposed to go on holiday break anyways this week, so there wasn't going to be any matches anyways. But I'm kind of no kick picks till after the holidays, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy
It
stuff
is.
going on right now. And in every league, in every country.
Every league, the NHL too, we have to deal with it. You know, I know you found a way to found some NHL picks tonight, but after today, I think no stick picks or kick picks for the foreseeable future.
Because of COVID, there are 2 Tuesday night football games tonight, though. So
yes,
we do have some games on a Tuesday. Why not? Let's enjoy it, right? Washington football team taking on the Eagles. Both teams like absolutely decimated right now with both injury and COVID. So, Jared, when you're looking at this one, I know you put in our thing, no bets till rosters are confirmed. But where are you leaning right now when you're looking at a game?
No sleep till Brooklyn. Like that. That's kind of where that's where my
literally in all caps on our Google Doc. No bets till rosters confirmed.
I'm so like I felt this way about the Browns game yesterday. Like I'm just worn out by all the news and the line moves, because I track, like, every line move is like, I track it. It speaks to my soul. Yeah. It was not an easy week for me with just riding the roller coaster of line moves and which game's going to get played and which quarterback is in and who's here. And it's really tough. I think Jalen Hurts is going to play in this game. That's what we're hearing. I have no idea who's playing for Washington. I heard some of their guys got activated, but we don't know again.
To the backup at this point.
I know some of their defensive players are back, which is great, but man, there is just a lot of uncertainty in this game. And I felt really good when I was watching that Browns-Raiders game last night. We talked about it on the show yesterday. I was like, I'm not betting this game.
Yeah.
And I was very pleased. It was actually the best decision I made. I wish I would have made the same decision about the Bears-Vikings game. Unfortunately, I went a little harder on that game than I did the Browns-Raiders game. But I just don't see an angle here. I think Philly wins the game. It's teasable, from 6.5 down to a pick 'em, I guess. But I just don't see an angle here because I don't know how these teams are going to react. I don't know if Washington's going to be more motivated because they've been decimated, if the Eagles are going to kind of, coast because they think it's going to be an easy game. It's a divisional game. It's a Tuesday night, short week for all teams coming up next Sunday. Every team plays Sunday. So there's just a lot going on here. So I'm probably not going to bet this, but I respect if you guys have opinions and if you guys want to sway me. I guess maybe I'm open to being swayed, but I don't personally have an edge here.
Yeah, Mark, I know on the Google Doc it says Washington football team if it gets to 7. Why?
Yeah. I mean, look, I can never bet the Eagles at 6.5. I can't bet them at 6. It's just that number is way too big. And sometimes odds makers will overinflate the COVID lines. And I get it. A lot of guys are out. But objectively, this Eagles team shouldn't be 6.5 points better than a whole lot of teams in this league. I get a better coach in Ron Rivera. I get a more consistent defense. I have a Jalen Hurts quarterback that, if he plays, hasn't thrown for 200 yards in 7 of his last 8 games. And I know the Eagles can put up points even if Jalen Hurts doesn't put up yards. But still, I'm just never going to bet the Eagles laying this many points in this spot. It's Washington or nothing for me. If it gets to 7, I would even way closer to kickoff. Maybe if the public pushes it to 7.5, I would absolutely take Washington at a touchdown or more. But I'm never, ever, ever going to bet the Eagles laying 6.5 points in this spot. So for me, it's Washington or nothing. I get a better coach. I get a better prepared team with a hotter defense at this point in time, despite the fact, though, by the way, this defense has missed Chase Young and Montez Sweat. These are guys that were big parts of their defense, and they've been playing better without them. They get a better run defense. So it's Washington or nothing for me.
Here's the thing for me that kind of makes me lean towards the Eagles. I'm not betting it yet, but I am kind of leaning towards them laying the points in this one. You just look at the Washington football team right now. The mess keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Taylor Heineke going on the COVID-19 list. The team is now without their two top starters at quarterback. And that leaves the impossible situation, right, for some unfortunate backup to just step in the fire of a divisional matchup and adjust on the fly. That's a tough thing to do. And don't forget, Terry McLaurin, J.D. McKissick, both questionable to play in this game. I don't know if that's been announced yet or not. But so now you look at it.
McKissick's out, I think. McLaurin, I think, is going to play. That's what I'm seeing here.
So now you look at it, though. It's the backup to the backup quarterback. He could be without 2 of the team's top receiving targets. Now, Philly hasn't necessarily been great against the run at home, but I think with no pass game, for Washington right now, they're going to be able to tighten things up without any fear of a passing attack, right, on the run side of the ball. So on the offensive side, they're in good hands if Jalen Hurts can't start in this game, because we saw what Gardner Minshew was able to do. Remember a couple weeks ago, Jared, you're like, should Minshew be starting every single game? Like, he played really well when he did get the start. And he's capable of delivering the ball through the air against a Washington pass defense that has just been flat out horrible, terrible all season long. And, to make matters worse, Sweat and Allen both popped up on the COVID-19 list. So I wouldn't expect much of a pass rushing heat in this game. That's the reason why I think I'm leaning towards the Eagles laying the points. I think without a pass game for Washington, the Eagles could tighten things up against the run game. But again, more of a lean.
Is Garrett Gilbert really playing quarterback for Washington in this game?
I don't know.
I'm looking at the injury reports online right now, and it makes it seem like he is. But again, that's why because I'll be honest, if Garrett Gilbert's playing quarterback, if that's confirmed, this line moves north of 7. There's no doubt about that.
Well, let's objectively look at the drop off between Taylor Heineke and anybody else.
Yeah,
Point.
Heineke's been okay, but what do we know about Garrett Gilbert is the question. I know nothing about Garrett Gilbert.
I didn't even know
title game. That was about it. When he came in to replace Colt McCoy, and I was on Texans.
Right.
I'm like, they're putting Gilbert freaking Grape in the game. How the hell are we going to win this thing? But regardless,
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. I never forgot his name. I called him Gilbert Grape since that day forever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I would say one more thing about the game. If you want to look at an Antonio Gibson rushing yard prop, and I haven't looked at one, but if you get it at 60 or under, I think it's a great play. Lauren's right. They probably will stack the box and force Gilbert Grape to throw the ball. But from that standpoint, still, I would even look at a combined rushing and receiving yards prop for Antonio Gibson. If you're below 80, I think there's value there.
Here's how I know this game is a total shitbox. They don't even have props available on MGM right now.
Yeah, well,
this is the day of the game, and you can't even.
I know. I was looking for props. I'm like, where are they?
And listen, guys, this is a betting show. We are always going to tell you when I'm on something, when I'm not on something. Yeah. Yesterday's Browns Raiders game was a perfect example of this. And when you wake up on an NFL game day, these books make more money from props than God. When you see that the books aren't even posting props, and what have we seen through all the COVID mess? The books keep the lines up because they want action. When they're not even giving you an opportunity to bet on some props, you know that they have no idea who's playing in this game. That should be a red flag for you. It really should. And that's why with these games, I think there's better options on the board, because you're going to watch and you're going to be like, oh my God, I did not take that into account because I had no idea who was playing in this game. And it's really, really tough right now. It's frustrating, I know, because it's an NFL game. It's not really a standalone game, but kind of a standalone primetime game. We want to have action on there, but you can't even bet props right now. I can't even tell you what the Jalen Hurts rushing yards prop number is tonight. And someone asked about that in the chat. So it's tough. It's definitely tough. You can bet on tackles and assists for some of the defensive players on MGM right now.
Tough world out there right now.
Thank goodness I can bet that.
Grape, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, this reminds me, just fun side story. Back in the day, my uncle used to call everyone I was dating fruitcake. So what's worse, being called fruitcake or being called Gilbert Grape? What's the worst?
A little emasculating when you walk into a family event and you get called fruitcake in front of your girlfriend. So
remind me. I was really excited to meet your dad, but now I'm not.
No, it's my uncle. My uncle.
Okay. No. Well, is your dad's brother?
No.
Okay, on the mom's side. So clearly we know.
Lauren, I got that one beat. Every time I would come home with a girl, my uncle would say out loud in front of everybody, "Now this isn't the same girl you brought home last time, right?" And so all of a sudden you lose, your whole face gets filled up.
You just get whitewashed.
What is it about families and the holidays just that embarrass us?
Yeah.
Why are you dating someone yet?
Oh, I've gotten all that. You should hear this. Yeah. I won't get into it. We don't have time on this show. Jack's gonna get mad.
Into that, let's get into the other brutal game that's going on tonight. Seahawks taking on the Rams. For me, I feel like one of the only picks, and Mark, I know you're on this too, is the over 45.5. Why do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it a lot better when Jalen Ramsey wasn't playing. Made me feel a little bit better about it. But still, look, Seattle's in this spot right now where, and I lean on Seattle getting the 6.5 points, but again, COVID makes me a little bit nervous. Seattle's in a spot right now. If they can win this game, they finish up against Chicago, Detroit, and the final game in the regular season against Arizona, who may be resting starters at that point because their playoff seeding is already decided. if they can run the table, they finish 9-8. 9-8 realistically would be a very good chance to get that 7th seed in the NFC, considering how bad everybody else is. So they have to win this game for their playoff lives. So I expect them to be able to score. Russell Wilson and Matt Stafford got to, I think it was 44 in the first meeting, and that was with Matt Stafford throwing a couple of picks, and Russell Wilson with a thumb injury went out early. So these teams will go back and forth with each other. This game is generally usually close. I lean on Seattle, but I like the over because Seattle will have to push the pace. As long as, I would also wait till game time to see if Tyler Lockett's 100% in. DK Metcalf didn't practice some days this week. So also a little bit of a question mark. But if you get a go from all these guys, and I think they will go just because of the nature of the game and what's on the line, I'll take the over. It's a short number. I'm under 47. I feel good about it.
Yeah.
You want to hear something funny, guys?
What?
I had MGM's prop screen up for the Eagles game. They just put up a few props. Oh. It's like they were watching the show and they heard us. Jalen Hurts is 43.5 rushing yards. I would lean over there on Hurts. Not to change the subject from the Rams Seahawks game, but I was like, the screen was like up, and all of a sudden I saw like numbers pop up, and I was like, were they listening to the show? Maybe the MGM people must be watching the show. Hey, MGM.
Hi, Mom.
Thanks for putting up the Hurts prop. If you want to move it down, I'll bet it again. If you want to move it from 43.5 down to maybe 40, I'll bet it again. I like that. I think 43.5 is a pretty fair number for Hurts rushing prop. Anyways, Rams Seahawks. I don't have a play for the game, but we have a futures column that's dropping in a little bit. But because you guys are so loyal and so nice, I'll give you a preview of something I am betting today that has to do with the Rams in the futures market. So the odds makers we talked to this week are very undecided on where the MVP race is kind of swaying. Rodgers, now the favorite over Brady. Obviously, the Bucs had their tough loss on Sunday night. Didn't look good. A lot of injuries on offense. They're guessing there's going to be some regression down the stretch with Tampa Bay's offense. Rodgers is in a good spot, but he's missed the game. And, there's been questions about him narrative-wise with all the stuff that happened with COVID. And I wouldn't be shocked if the writers are a little down on him at the end of the year. And Matt Stafford's sitting there right now. I got him 14-1 at MGM. He's 10-1 at some other shops. And the Rams are right there. They win this game. They get a little help from Arizona later in the week, lose a game. The Rams could easily win the NFC West. And Stafford, first year in a new system, winning the toughest division in football and getting a home game in the playoffs. I looked at some of the numbers and they stack up. He's first in QBR this year. He's second in touchdowns. So I think you could do worse than having a 14-1 Matt Stafford MVP ticket in your back pocket if the Rams can win their final 3 games and if they can get across the finish line in the NFC West. So I think that's my only angle for this game tonight. Matt Stafford continues to play well. I think the Rams win. Maybe you want to do a Rams-Eagles teaser, money line parlay kind of basically with where the lines are at right now. But that's really the only angle I have for this game. I think the Rams are going to win. I think Stafford is getting a little bit more in sync with this, cavalcade of stars on offense. And I think the Rams will probably win this game, but I don't think I'm willing to lay the 7.
Yeah, totally. And what, Mark, you want to say something?
I mean, just backing Matt Stafford is like parallel parking. It's an overrated skill that you never really need in life. Like I can't do it. I mean, it's as much as the value is there.
I mean, I've been watching it for years. Like,
there's nothing about him that turns me on. Like there isn't. I've seen enough of him to know that at best I'm above average. And if that's what I'm going to rely on for a futures bet, I need a whole lot of people around him to stink. And I just don't think that's going to be the case. You
don't need a whole lot of people. We really just need Rodgers to probably drop a game. Yeah. I think it's a narrative-based
quarterbacks in NFL history to be bad. That's what I don't want to bet against. Like I get the number, Jared.
They almost dropped the game on Sunday, and it had nothing to do with him.
No,
I think it's more about the number than it is about what it actually means for me to win that bet. I don't think that's a bet that I'm like, if at 14-1, the odds of me winning that bet, the percentages are really low. But I think the number's wrong, and I think the number will be much shorter if the Rams win out and if they win that division, which means that I can probably bet Rodgers later and have a nice hedge opportunity there. So that's all. I don't really have a huge angle for the game. I really don't.
Yeah, I honestly don't either. And I was leaning, over 45.5. I feel like it's a good total. I think the streak of unders just stops between the two teams tonight. And you look at, the Rams right now, they still have, they were kind of hit hard, like with COVID on their offense, defensive line. So I think the Rams still make sense after getting back Ramsey, Beckham Jr., Henderson. It could still be a little bit of a scramble defensively,
Is Henderson definitely playing tonight? Do we know?
I think he is.
I don't know who's playing tonight. This is probably the most, like, if you could just, Jack, just replace my box with the arm emoji. Like, I don't know who's playing in this game. Like, I have no idea. I have
that's why it's so tough, but I like the over in this game. I'm betting over 45.5 at this point. I already have it locked in.
The Seahawks defense
I think for me, that's the play.
I could see them giving up a big number if Stafford shows up tonight.
Yeah, I feel like for me, you know, like that's the way to play this game. It's hard for me to decide one way or the other without knowing who's playing, without knowing who's starting. The over seems like a safe bet for me in this one, and I'm playing it safe because it's so tough to know without knowing the lineups. I mean, you were saying like there's not even really any props. Well, there are now, but you know,
they're just starting to populate instead of populate.
Very funny.
But there are no props for the Seahawks Rams game right now on MGM.
Yeah, weird.
I granted there's other books, and I know other books are a little more aggressive. Let's look at DraftKings. DraftKings does not have props either. They have defensive props. They have touchdown score props. But they have no yardage props. And that means that they don't have projections for who's going to play in this game. That is what that means. They base those props off of an algorithm and off of numbers they plug in the lineup, and the lineup, you know, it spits out numbers. And if you can't plug in the lineup, you can't spit out prop numbers. And that's why if the books are really, you know, wishy-washy about putting prop numbers out, why am I, as a bettor, going to have a strong opinion on something?
Yeah.
If the book doesn't have a strong opinion to even give me a number to bet, it's really hard to say with conviction that, unless you're an insider and you're at practice and you know everything going on, that you have a strong conviction on what you're going to see on the field. It's very difficult.
Henderson is still questionable right now, so it's tough to find an exact answer from our producer Jack if he's actually going to play or not. So
nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody's known all week who's playing in these games. It's ridiculous.
What we do know, though, who's playing is college basketball games right now. Xavier taking on Villanova, one of the big games tonight. Mark, I know you're on this one. Well, who do you like?
I like Xavier. I think they're in a great spot getting points. Villanova's 329th in the nation in possessions per game. They don't possess the ball a lot. Xavier's got a great field goal percentage defense in this spot. Plus, Villanova only shoots 41% from the field. It's not terrible, but it's not great. So I think Xavier might even be a decent money line play in this spot to win the game outright. But I certainly like him catching 6 points here.
Yeah, Jared, you're looking at a couple basketball games tonight too, right? Morehead State laying 16.5. That's a big number.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I haven't bet these yet. If I do bet them, I'm still at the stage. I'm in the larva stage of my college basketball betting campaign.
Never use the word larva. I hate that.
Well, you talked about butterflies yesterday. That's like the pre-butterfly stage, larva stage.
Just use caterpillar instead. That's way more.
Caterpillar is like the first, like that's like the early stage. I'm past the caterpillar stage. We've already bet a few games. We're hibernating right now. We're marinating.
When did I get earth basketball? What happened? What I missed?
I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on. This conversation's gone off the rails with the
Yesterday
science.
I said go Monarchs. I'm like, go Butterflies.
She thought the Monarchs, the Old Dominion Monarchs, were butterflies.
Yeah, maybe that's why that guy dropped the ball going into the end zone.
Oh, that was unbelievable. Lauren, you really should have won that over yesterday.
I know.
I'm gonna hate that kid for a while.
Yeah, that was a really tough break for us.
Yeah.
But Morehead State, so they're facing IUPUI, Ooey Pooey, as I like to call them. And they are Ooey this year. They are the worst team. I think they're one of the worst teams in college basketball, if not the worst. They lost to Chicago State the other day by 6 at home. And Chicago State's historically over the last 5 years or so has really been bad. And Ooey Pooey, their one win this year was over Spalding. I don't know what conference they're in or what division they're in. I would assume it's not D1.
They do have good basketballs, I've heard.
Yeah, I have no idea. But the Jaguars are really bad. Morehead State's pretty feisty too. Like, they're a really good defensive team. They like to slow the tempo down. They've had a couple decent wins this year. They beat Ark State on the road. That's an okay win. They beat Georgia Southern. So they're I would say better than your average mid-major team. And I think Ooey Pooey is just awful. So I don't love this game. It's moved from 13.5 now to 17. If you can find a 16 out there, obviously that's better. But Morehead State should put up a big number in this one.
You're on a couple more too. Davidson, I see +9. Utah laying 3.
Yeah, Davidson's in an interesting spot. So we know about Bob McKillop. He's one of the best coaches maybe of like all time in college basketball. I would put him up there. Coach Steph Curry took that Davidson team to the tournament. And he's always had good teams there at Davidson. Yeah. He's got a pretty good team this year. They're 8-2 to start the year. They're on a 7-game winning streak. And they're facing an Alabama team that's kind of been, up and down. They just got blasted by Memphis last week. They lost the game to Iona earlier this season. That is not a good loss. And now they face Davidson on a neutral court, and they're laying almost double digits. So, not a strong play. Everything college basketball from these quarter units right now. But I would take 9 with Davidson. They're a well-coached team that I think will be in this game. And then the other game, Utah against Fresno State, not a huge – of the 3 picks that I'm giving out, I think this is the least of the 3. But Utah's coming off a loss to Missouri on the road. And they play better at home. And Fresno State's, lost their only 2 road games of the year at Cal and at San Francisco. So they're Fresno State's a pretty good team this year, but they're not great on the road. And of all the home environments, Utah at altitude and Salt Lake City is a really tough one. So I like only laying 2.5 here. If you can find it, great. If not, 3 is acceptable. But those are the picks today. Again, quarter units only, just little baby sprinkles. We're in the larva stage still of this college basketball season. But I think these are decent plays. If you want to bet some college hoops tonight, I would go in on all 3.
Yeah. For Marks, I kind of want to save this because it's the Colorado-Kansas game, but it's also your best bet of the day, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to save this for the best bet segments and get right into it. Right. First of all, before we do, play of the day, Pickswise 3-star play of the day, Jared, who we got? I know it's for a Thursday game, isn't it?
Yeah, the under. Chris Rivers is on the under in the Washington-Philly game. I'll be honest. This number might move between when we talk about it now and when it actually starts. It's already moved a lot. Like he put it in the site at 44.5, and it's already down to 41.5. So I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't play this at 41.5. But that if it, like, say for instance, maybe some more guys play in the game and the line goes up a little bit, maybe to 42 or 43. If it gets to 44, that's where I would be willing to bet the under again, because we know 51 and 44, those are the key totals in the NFL. Talk about 3 and 7 on the sides. On the total side, it's 51 and 44. So at 44, I would definitely play the under, but right now at 41.5, probably not a great bet, but that is your best bet of the day. 3-star play on Pickswise.
I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, Jared, we already talked a little bit about your best bet, but you like the UTSA money line, right?
I think it goes back to what we talked about. I think it goes back to what we talked about with motivation. UTSA's never won a bowl game in their history. I don't love the fact that they've got a ton of players missing in this game, including arguably their best player, Sincere McCormick, who's going to be a draft pick at some point. I don't know where in the draft, but he will get drafted. But I think Frank Harris is capable to kind of, maneuver this offense without their best running back. And again, I don't trust Brady Hoke in a bowl game. I just don't. He couldn't win at Michigan.
Me neither.
I wouldn't trust him. I would not trust him as far as I can throw him, and I don't think I could throw him very far. So I feel like this line's moved. San Diego State was a favorite. Now they were a dog. Now they're a favorite. And they're not an offense that I think is going to put a lot of distance between themselves and any team, because that's not how they play. So I think UTSA is a live pooch in this game. They run an up-tempo, fast, fun offense. They're playing basically at home in Frisco, Texas, about 200 miles away from San Antonio. And they're going to be up for this game. I know they're missing some guys, but they will be up for this game. And I think they're going to get the win over San Diego State.
Yeah. Okay, Mark, we're getting into yours, college basketball, because the other big game tonight is Kansas taking on Colorado at altitude in Colorado. And you like Kansas in this one.
Yeah, but a particular play on Kansas in the first half. Look, Kansas is the number 3 shooting percentage team in the nation. They love to play fast. They've broken every game this year, but 3 times. And so this is a game where they will get out and push the pace early. Check this out, guys. In the 10 games they've played this year, including the loss to Dayton, they've led at half every single game. The smallest lead they've had, 6. So when I'm only laying 5.5 in the first half with a team that shoots like Kansas and gets out and runs early like Kansas, not going to worry about the back door. They'll push the pace early. They should easily cover this 6 in the first half against a bad Colorado team.
You take altitude into consideration at all? Because I'm telling you, I lived there for 3 years, and I'm sucking wind walking upstairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if a 21-year-old kid or an 18, 19-year-old kid has trouble running in a basketball court in any game, in any elevation, I question whether he should be playing basketball, period.
It's fair.
Mic drop. Absolutely mic drop. Okay, so obviously we heard from the NHL. They've postponed like 8 games tonight. I think there was a slate of like 10 total games. But I did find one. I did find one to be able to bet. The Lightning taking on the Golden Knights in Vegas. I like the Lightning money line in this game at plus 18. If you want a little extra value, take the 3-way money line at plus 170. But there's a lot of COVID issues going around right now in the NHL. Only 2 games are still on tonight. This one and one other game. So this is 2 of the hottest teams for me scoring off in the NHL, right? The Lightning defeated Ottawa on Thursday. They've won 7 of their 8 games in December, but only gone 5-5 against the spread in the last 10 games. Now, Vegas, they've won 5 straight and won 6 of their last 8. They're only 4-6 against the spread, though, in their last 10. To be honest, regardless of who is the favorite in this game, I think it's going to be decided by 1 goal. I would not recommend betting the puck line in this game. It's 2 really, really strong teams offensively, 2 really strong teams defensively. So I think whoever is the underdog is definitely the way to go in this one. And for me, that's the Lightning. Both teams playing well, but I look at what Robin Lehner's done. Not great. He's been kind of mediocre over the last few games or so. So I think that gives the Lightning a little bit of an edge in this one. And especially because they have Vasilevsky in their goal, one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. I think it's going to help Tampa win this game and maybe cover the spread. I'm not confident enough to bet the puck line in this one. Again, I'm betting the money line. I might sprinkle it on the 3-way money line as well, just for a little extra value. Tampa Bay, 7-1-0 in December, and they've won 4 of those games by 1 goal. So I feel good about the Lightning in this one. We're going right before Christmas break, one of the last games until, probably after Christmas on the 27th. So I feel good. Lightning money line or 3-way money line for extra value at plus 170. Boom. That's
money line. Lightning only strikes when Lawrence says it does.
I like that. I like that alliteration, Jared. Thank you very much. Really
Lauren's Lightning.
Lauren's Lightning.
Lauren's lovely Lightning.
Lauren's lovely Lightning.
Luxurious
I haven't bet a
Lightning.
hockey game. There's only 2 games going on tonight. 8 of them are postponed.
I'm going to miss hockey this week. We've been betting a lot of puck over the last couple of weeks. We're in a really tough, this is a really, I know the holidays people get depressed sometimes. I know most people don't, but some people do. This is a depressing time for the sports calendar. We should have all these awesome games happening.
But we have NFL every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day.
Did you watch those 2 games last night? Is that a good thing?
Good. I know, but it's still games. It's still something.
Games.
It is.
And not only that, guys, we are 5 days away from a Christmas Day slate in the NBA that I can't help but bet on every single year. Doesn't matter who's playing.
I will say this. I don't love betting the NBA early in the year. Christmas Day is the one early season day that, because the motivation, we talk about this in bowl games, the motivation matters in the NBA more than anything else. And these guys get up for those games.
Yeah.
They do, because it's national TV, everyone's watching. They won't get up for a random game, in Sacramento in November, but they'll get up for a Christmas Day game. So you aren't worried about, is this team going to be up for this game on Christmas Day? So that's a great point, Mark.
And Lauren, very, very sad to see Trae Young might not be playing on Christmas Day, because he was going to like that. His player total is high enough. I was taking the over. He was going to light the Garden up since his first appearance there, since the playoffs. Oh God, I had that crossed off on the calendar as soon as the schedule came out.
Well, the last 2 times he was at MSG, 1, he was taking bows, and 2, he did WWE SmackDown. Do you remember that too?
Yes.
MSG's his place.
So disappointed.
He does like MSG. Bing bong.
Some guys who just thrive there. He's one of them.
Bing bong.
I know. Well, if he does get 2 negative COVID tests within 24 hours, it could have been a false positive. We never know. I have no inside information. But that is the NBA protocol. Is if you get 2 negative tests within 24 hours of each other, you are technically out of protocol. So there's still 5 days. We never know what's going to happen. We'll see.
I'd like to question you on your lack of inside information here. That's the point of you having this game, is that you can get us inside information.
I have no inside info.
I have no responsibilities here whatsoever. Great. Thank you.
I'm just here to do the I don't even know.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Exactly.
I love it, guys. All right. That's it for us today. Thanks so much. Best of luck tonight on the Tuesday night football games. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith, Mark Zinno. I'm Lauren Jabara. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.